Hey guys, welcome to That Florida Feeling. How is everybody this week? Hope you guys are having a good week. I am glad to know what topics you guys want from podcasts. So history was definitely a huge winner, and cities, and not really anybody wants to hear about the paranormal, which is absolutely fine with me. I will do one on Halloween, but other than that, there's so much more fun stuff or weird stuff for Florida man to talk about in Florida other than just ghosts and swamp creatures and whatever else. Florida man kind of fits into that category, but you know, it is what it is. Thanks for everybody who has liked and subscribed. Reviews are awesome. Thank you for those of you who've done that like recently. I noticed my Spotify reviews went up, so thank you. Unfortunately on Spotify it doesn't let me see who did it, so thank you to whoever did it. Sorry, I can't personally thank you. If you have a second, Apple would be a cool thing just to get a review on, because you have to actually put like words. Well, no, you don't have to put words on Apple. You can put just an amount, but words help. If you put a sentence, it tends to. I'm rambling about reviews. I just realized that. Anyways, a review would be appreciated. So I had a couple new people join the Facebook group and like the page, so that's really cool. Thank you guys for that. That's awesome. Tell your friends. I wanted to do something different this week. Not really different. You guys have heard me do this before, but I'm going to do a real take. So I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about the Ashley gang and true crime in Florida, but this week I'm going to talk about the real Florida. What is really going on in Florida these days. I have a lot of you guys that are saying, oh, I love Florida. I love coming. I can't wait to move. And the truth is that I hope you continue to visit the Sunshine State. I really do. And it would be cool if somebody wanted to move here. But I want you to move here with absolute full knowledge that you understand what you're going into. Because it's been just over 9 years since I moved to Florida. Right about almost 10. And what I moved into 10 years ago and what is today's Florida is obviously not the same thing. And I don't just mean a little bit. I mean, it is a completely different, absolutely changed Florida. And not just because of the pandemic, but it's so strange to look back and see what I moved to and what I'm dealing with today. And then to go back and look at the places that I've lived and just see the good and the bad. There's a little bit of both, I will have to say, but I want you guys who want to move to Florida or even vacation in Florida to understand that things have changed a lot. Oh no, I have a podcast guest. How do you feel about Florida? Oh, you do you like it still? Are you okay, or you think it's too expensive? What do you feel, Butterfinger? Wow, you had a lot to say there. I'm gonna go with probably too expensive, judging by that one. Special guest, second week in a row, Butterfinger. As always, thank you. But yeah, I want to tell you guys about the state of Florida today. And it's changed. And of course, I'm sure you're like, well, where I live has changed too. But Florida's is drastic. Like, overwhelmingly not for the good, drastic. And the first example I'm going to give you guys is that the apartment that we live in now, it is in Clearwater, which is right outside of Tampa. I am not on the beach. I am probably 5 miles from the beach, if even. But the neighborhood is run down because I've lived in Clearwater previously and I came back. The neighborhood is run down compared to what it used to be. But rent, y'all, rent is so expensive here now. And I think that's most of Florida. And I think that's actually, sadly, most everywhere. But for some reason in Florida, it seems like it's jumping a lot higher. When we lived in Clearwater the first time, we were spending like $850 for a 700 square foot apartment. 1 bed, 1 bath, with a washer and dryer. So you guys have something to compare this to. And today, that same apartment is $1,800. Not upgraded. Same crappy 40-year-old appliances, harsh lighting or no lighting, half a window, bad tile that's cracking, electrical sockets that don't work. And that's the truth. That's the state of Florida today. and it's everywhere in this area. Before we chose this apartment, we looked at other ones, and some of the newer ones were at 2,100 for 500 square feet. Yes, that's on the beach, but $2,100 for 500 square feet. That's bad. That's like ridiculously bad, guys. I don't even know. I mean, that's $400 a square foot. Not $400 a square foot, $400 per 100 feet. That's sad. That's the state of Florida right now. Having lived all over the state, I decided to go and Google places that I used to live. So we started out in the Panhandle, and the Panhandle was fairly cheap, and I mean actually ridiculously cheap. We had an apartment for $600 at a condo with a pool on the Sound in Fort Walton Beach. Beautiful scenery, beautiful place to live, absolutely gorgeous. $600. That same rental is $1,800. That is ridiculous to me. Another place we lived up in the Panhandle we rented it for $750, and it was 900 square feet. It had a new washer and dryer. It was actually brand new. That same apartment today is $2,200, I think I saw. That's ridiculous. I just can't imagine how people are surviving right now. I don't understand, especially when Florida's minimum wage is $10 an hour. I don't understand how people survive. I don't understand how people survive by themselves. I don't understand how people survive without 3 jobs. And that is just the Panhandle and Clearwater. Living in South Florida, a 1-bedroom apartment was, again, like $1,500, but you're in the ghetto. You literally heard gunshots every night, and you feared that you were going to get shot sitting in your own apartment. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of like a person who wants their security, and that doesn't feel secure to me. None of that does. And that's not even in Miami. I'm talking about near Vero Beach, which is considered the north part of South Florida. That's the rich area. That's supposed to be the nice area. And I mean, that's insane. St. Augustine, Jacksonville is no better. Jacksonville is a very interesting city. I have a lot of love. I have a lot of good memories. I have a lot of bad memories from that area. St. Augustine is ridiculously expensive. Housing is such an issue there. The people that live there, that work there, can't even live there because there's no housing. It's gotten better. They've built more and new apartments, but of course those apartments are starting at astronomically high prices. And St. Augustine is suffering. I mean, that's the next part of the thing I'm going to talk to you about Florida, is that a lot of places that you know and love in Florida are closing because they can't afford to pay rent. Because they have to raise their prices so high on their items or their food that they can't pay their staff, and then they can't afford the rent. Like Scarlett O'Hara's in St. Augustine. They lost their lease. They left. That place had been there for 50 years. That everybody knew Scarlett's in St. Augustine, and it's gone now because the economy in Florida is just, and it's not, like I said, it's not just Florida, but I want anybody who's coming to Florida to move to Florida to know that it's almost unlivable at this point. It's right up there with New York and LA. It's insane. I have people who work for me that live in their car because they can't afford to get an apartment, working full time at $15 an hour. That's ridiculous. They finally found a place because, parts of Florida have really cool, like some of the counties have really cool, like, they'll help people find roommates through county assistance, and it's cheaper rent. And that's a really cool thing. And that's something that you definitely would have to look into. And if you are hurting or you are struggling, please look into those assistance programs. They do exist. They are real. I know that I just hired a girl from my job that she came from New York, and she told us about a program that at the, in New York City, at the end of the night, there was an app on your phone where you could find that restaurants were basically, you pay anywhere from 50 cents to a couple dollars, and they'd give you food to go for the night because they were going to throw it out, and this helped people who couldn't afford to get actual meals. And that is a really cool program out of New York. I wish that other big cities in Florida had something like that. But Florida is getting to the point where you can't exist. Like, yeah, you exist, and you put all your money into your rent, and you work your 40 or 50 or 60 or however many hours you're working with your 1 to 3 or 4 jobs, and you're just still struggling. And I find that to be a sad state. I find that to be a very sad state. And I know that a lot of people are struggling, and I know that the pandemic was not fun for the past few years, and I know that we're still dealing with it, but I don't want people to romanticize Florida. I don't want people to come down here with the idea that it's great and you're going to go to the beach every day and you're going to drink rum out of pineapples. No, you're not, because you can't afford to, or you don't have time because you're constantly working to afford to maybe one day get one day off to go to the beach. And so I don't want anybody to think that Florida is any better than anywhere else. I mean, the grass is green wherever you fertilize it. And yes, some situations you do need a change of scenery. And Florida is an amazing place. And I'll tell you that the change of scenery that it has provided us has been great. Don't get me wrong. But it's getting to the point where it's unlivable. It's ridiculously unlivable. I see more homeless on the streets every day going to work. I see people constantly digging in my dumpster for food because they can't afford it. I see, I had one employee just left to go back home because they couldn't afford Florida. No warning, just I can't do it anymore. If I don't leave now, I won't have money to ever get out of here. And that's a sad state that it's in. And of course, Florida's dealing with some of the same issues as other places. I'm not a political person. I'm not. I will not tell you how I feel about it. But, Ron DeSantis, I can't say is one of the most loved people in Florida. And sometimes his decisions, for the good or for the bad, aren't maybe what Florida needs. And so I don't want people moving here thinking that this is one of those states where it's great. It's not. Yes, there are some amazing communities. St. Pete, Orlando, Key West, St. Augustine. They're all perfectly amazing communities for, the LGBTQ community. And I just want you to know that you are welcome here and that you are loved here. And I absolutely love my friends. But you need to understand that there's also a lot of people who move here from other parts of Florida or other states that aren't as welcoming. And if you move to Florida thinking that Florida is its own culture, it's not. Yes, there are things that have become Florida, like the Cuban sandwich. And if you've seen my TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, you know that I am hooked on those right now. Key lime pie, fantastic, especially from Publix. Publix is definitely its own thing in Florida. I mean, it is Florida. It was created in Florida. But there are a lot of people who are coming here that are not from Florida. The amount of times I hear, well, in New York, or well, in California, or well, in Idaho, or, which, by the way, who moves to Florida from Idaho, but whatever. But you hear it from all these other states, and you just want to look at them and you want to be like, well, this is Florida. We don't do that here, or go back there. That's a daily occurrence. So you have this wonderfully great melting pot, but it doesn't always get along, and it doesn't always make you feel homely. Friends in Florida have been honestly few and far between. It is actually so hard to make friends in Florida outside of whoever you work with. Like, you're not just going to find friends unless you're really, really, really trying. Florida has a large amount of people looking for rich people to take care of them. It has a large amount of homeless people. It has a lot of amount of people who are in the middle class who are just trying to make a living and don't have time for your shit. So making friends in Florida is actually supremely difficult. If you don't have those friends you find at work, it doesn't usually happen. I don't know why. I can honestly say that Florida is not the most welcoming place. And I think that is because people come from a lot of other places. Or people visit, or they're transient. They don't stay. Because I do think that people romanticize Florida. And a lot of people do have this idea that they're going to come and they're going to live on the beach. Well, yeah, if you're homeless, you can live on the beach. But it's it's bad here. Buying a house is ridiculous. Now that the market's finally settling back down, happily, thank God, it's been 2 years. But before that, a $200,000 home was going for $500,000, and that's a 1-bed, 1-bath, 700 square foot home in the middle of Florida, not near the beaches, you guys. So I don't want anyone to romanticize it. I don't want anyone to think that they're going to come here with delusions of grandeur. I want to be real with you guys. And then those of you who are like, well, I only vacation. Food cost is insane. Seafood has gone up so bad. Everything, all the food prices have gone up ridiculously bad. A grouper sandwich was $35 the other day. That's a piece of fish on bread with toppings and fries. And not even a big piece of fish for $35. I just, what you used to do doesn't exist anymore. And gas is finally back down. But hotels are insane. Finding a hotel on the beach that's not overbooked or a crap hole is also few and far between. Granted, right now is the good time to come down because it's September and there's not a lot of people. The snowbirds haven't hit yet. There's no snow. And all the tourists have mostly gone back. You're starting to get a few Canadians. But, I just don't want you to be sticker shocked when you come down for vacation. Disney World prices are insane now. They have gone up so much. And not just the gate price, but like everything. The food, the souvenirs, the hotels. And so I just wanted to give you guys a real glimpse into what Florida's going through right now. It's not good. It's not a fun state anymore. It's too expensive. It's dirty. It's dealing with every other problem that every other major state or city or any state has. And just because there's beaches and sunshine does not mean that you're not going to have problems. Are there jobs? Yeah, there's an abundance of service jobs. Publix is always hiring. Food, restaurants, bars, coffee shops, they're all hiring. But they're not going to pay you what you need to survive. You're going to have to probably work 2 or 3 jobs and have roommates. And that also can be a very interesting existence. It's maybe not what you expected or maybe not what you wanted. But I just wanted you guys to know what's really going on in Florida. It's expensive. It's not fun anymore. And that doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing the podcast because there's still so much fun and beautiful and amazing Florida to talk about. But I wanted you guys to get a real glimpse into what we're dealing with here. And do I hope it gets better? Absolutely. My gosh, I hope it gets better. I don't think that the apartment prices are going to go down anytime soon. But I want you guys to be prepared because I get so many of you who want to move here and want to live here and want to visit here. And I hope you do. I hope everybody achieves their dream. I hope that every one of you gets to do something that makes you happy. But I don't want you to lose yourself or to end up homeless or to get hurt in the process of trying to come to Florida because it's the promised land or it's going to be no, guys, no. Florida has just as many problems as the rest of us. Florida has just as many issues with everything you're dealing with wherever you're at right now. Granted, there's just more sunnier days. Although there's not right now because it's it's rained every day basically for the past, I would say, almost a month. And this is our wet season, so that's to be expected. But, I guess seasonal depression is a little bit less here, so it doesn't mean so bad when you're working, 10-hour days to afford living here. But guys, I just wanted to be real with you this week. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I don't want to give you guys I don't want to give you a false reality that Florida is way better than everybody else. No, it's going through the same stuff you guys are going through in major states and cities. I think Florida actually became one of the most expensive places to live in the U.S. And I absolutely 1,000% see why. So, if you guys have any questions, any concerns, you can email me. Find me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm still not convinced about the TikTok, you guys. I say that and I make more, but I don't get it. I guess I'm too old. I don't get this anymore. But I hope that everybody has a wonderful week. There is no Florida man this week because, well, I feel like everybody's got a little bit of Florida man in them lately. So, with that being said, be nice to one another. Treat each other with respect. Do something nice for one another. Everybody's dealing with something. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Stay hydrated. And as always, guys, that's your daily dose of sunshine.